Hi everyone, Nick Creticus of Nick's Seasonal Decor. An order just came in from Craft Outlet, so I thought we would open up the box and use some of the supplies I got. I was very excited to pick up this candy cane sign. It's a little bit different. I haven't seen this sign in the past, so that's why we're going to use it today. But also on the website, I placed this sign with this ribbon together, and I thought they looked really nice together because the sign has a little bit of lime green. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I know it's not fall or Halloween, but it's never too early to get started with Christmas stuff. So just give me 1 second while I pull up the feed, make sure we are live. It's never too early to get started with Christmas stuff. Hi everybody. So we're going to be using that sign, that 1.5 inch ribbon. It's a 50-yard roll. We're going to be using your cheap tinsel tie frame from Hobby Lobby. It's a 24-inch work wreath. We're going to be using some premium deco mesh. It was $15.99 from Hobby Lobby. This is the stuff you can't see through, so it's not the generic stuff that we used in last night's video. It's on the opposite spectrum. It's the premium. We're also going to be using some of this. This is lime green canvas type ribbon with the red frill on the side. We also have some red velvet. We use this in my Christmas in July group. So for those of you that did purchase a roll from the vendor, we still have plenty left over, and we're going to use some of that today. Hi. What we also might incorporate is some of this 4-inch ribbon. I love using 4-inch ribbon now. I went through a phase where I hated it, but now I'm starting to think Christmas, and I still have to design my 12-foot Christmas tree. And although we will incorporate 1.5-inch ribbon and 2.5-inch ribbon, it's kind of not substantial enough, so we're going to do some 4-inch ribbon in my tree. So I picked this up from Craft Outlet as well, and I thought maybe we could add some pieces into the wreath. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we have some ornaments. These are left over from Christmas in July, the group. So if you purchased a box of this, we still have some left over that we can incorporate. But other than that, I think we're going to keep it simple. It's going to be nice and full, but we're not going to be using too much stuff. I know, 2 lives in a row. I told you we'll get back into the swing of things. So we're going to open this up. Before we cut any of the mesh, any of the ribbon, we're going to design with the mesh. And like I said in last night's video, whenever I use my work wreaths, I always make sure that I open it up beforehand. It saves a lot more time, and it just saves frustration trying to find the tinsel ties. This way it'll already be open, and we don't have to worry about opening them. So I just go throughout. These are not my favorite frames to work with, the Hobby Lobby ones. They are a little pokey. I kind of like working with the thicker tinsel ties. But I have hundreds of these, so I might as well just slowly get rid of them. That way I don't have so many. Okay, almost there. So the technique we're doing tonight is the poof technique. It is probably the most challenging technique for most people. But my favorite still is the ruffle to this day. You really can't go wrong. But I thought we would mix it up a little bit and do the poof technique. So let me move some of the stuff out of the way. What I always do is I always just grab the end and then I drop the roll to the floor. I like to be careful because I do have my stand next to me and I don't really want it to get caught on the stand and pull you guys to the ground. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to roll it over. Keep in mind we don't have to use as much since this is a premium deco mesh. So when gathering the first poof, just try to make it, look nice. It doesn't have to be perfect, you guys. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to place it. You can either place it in the inside or the outside. It doesn't matter. And then take one of our twists and close it up. So in my videos, the pre-recorded videos that I have for the exclusive Wreath community, I use my cutting mat to measure out. But since this is just, a free video, you guys don't really care. I don't really care about measuring. And in all honesty, I very rarely measure, if ever. When designing off camera, I just wing it. If it looks good enough to the eye, whether it's a 10-inch poof or not, it doesn't really matter because it looks good to you. So we're just creating roughly 10-inch poofs. But if you are just starting out with this technique, it can be easier and less intimidating to measure it out. Hi, Carolyn. Wow, almost 700 viewers. That's awesome, you guys. So another reason why work wreaths can kind of be an issue at times. So the more expensive the work wreath, obviously the better quality, but also the more even the twist ties are. As you can see, this one was only about 2.5 inches, whereas this one's about 5 or 6 inches. So when working with cheaper quality work wreaths, sometimes the twist ties aren't secured nicely, and then also sometimes they're placed way too close together or too far apart. But Trendy Tree and Craft Outlet, I very rarely ever get bad work wreaths. And they're cheaper. You know, this Hobby Lobby one was probably $6.99. Okay. See how fast that was, you guys? It took us, what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? We worked around the outside. Sometimes in the past, what you see me do is go back and forth, kind of in a zigzag motion. But for today's video, we're just going to work on the outside and then the inside. Or vice versa. So now we're just pulling it in. And doing another poof. Hi, Amy. But this is also going so fast because we already have all of the twist ties open. If we had to sit there and fiddle with them and try to find them, it would take more time, which is why I like to do it in the beginning. So we just eyeballed this, and it turned out very even. So I recommend you just eyeball it. You don't have to sit there and measure it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut as close to the bottom as possible, but also leaving kind of a little bit just in case it becomes loose. So same thing goes with pipe cleaners on the back of my bows. I always leave a little bit. Same with zip ties, just in case, you know, it comes apart, you have a little wiggle room. So here we have our base done. Next, what we're going to do is see how we want to do our ribbons. So we have the sign. I'm liking that. I'm also liking this. But I want to do a different technique today. I don't know if I've done it on these Facebook Lives, but we kind of create a little bow for each twist. So I was thinking that's something we could do today. Thank you. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to see how big we want our little bows and each twist to be. They don't need to be too big. But I think we're going to have 6 or 7 inch tails. We'll probably do 7 since this is kind of a solid base. So I'll cut tails that are about 7 inches with about a 3-inch loop. So that makes it 20 inches. 7 plus 6. No, it's not 20. If it was just one-sided, the loop. So we measured the loop like this, which makes it 3 inches. but we're going to have to double that because it goes around in circumference. So I'll cut 26-inch pieces. Hi! Renee, check Walmart. They have cheap ones here in the States, but it would be a start for you. Yeah, so just look around for supplies. Even here in the United States, some places are much more expensive than other places. So we're cutting them at 28 inches in length. So I cut one of them. Now what we'll do is just keep cutting those. And we'll only place it on the inside, I'm thinking. I'm thinking we won't need that on the outside. But we will add this ribbon to the outside as well. So this ribbon I've used to make lantern swags. We've made teardrop swags. We've made wreaths with it. I use this ribbon all the time for Christmas. It's one of my favorites. And as many of you don't know, I actually prefer solid ribbons or ribbons with one or two colors versus ribbons with like bats on it and a bunch of swirls and stuff. I prefer something like this, which is a little bit more basic and plain. So we finished a partial roll. Before we cut more, we'll just dovetail real quick. And to dovetail, for those of you that are new, I fold my ribbon in half and I cut from the center out towards the wired edge. And that's how you get that nice finished touch. And we'll do 2 of them at a time. Okay, so that's all the pieces from the partial roll. Just so we don't have any extra pieces, we'll see how many we actually need. On the inside, we're only doing it on the inside for now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8, and we have cut 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we cut the exact amount from that partial roll. So we have 8 there, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 on the outside, so we need 10 more of that green for the outside. And instead of creating the bow, like I said, we're just going to do single individual pieces. So we'll cut those 12 inches in length. So if you guys don't mind sharing this video, I greatly appreciate that. It brings a whole bunch of new people, and I love meeting all of you guys, especially in person, but even virtually. I love seeing so many new faces and familiar faces as well. So when doing this technique with the little bow, I only choose one of the ribbons to do it with. So in this case, we're doing the lime green. Okay, so now we're going to dovetail these pieces. So no, I'm not live at this time every night. I typically come on at nights That is when I usually do lives. But sometimes it's an hour before, an hour after. Oh, I cut some at 10? Maybe. We'll make them work. Okay. So we have those cut for the inside and the outside in the two different styles. Now we're going to cut... What else do we want to add? I know I want to add this one. So we'll do this. We'll cut these at 12 inches as well. We need 18 of these. We got a group together and made fall wreaths today thanks to your videos. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. So last night after I said I love seeing all of the pictures of your wreaths, whether they're from videos I've shown or taught or just on your own, I love to see them. So if you want to send me a picture on my business page, you could even message the page. So this one's 1.5 as well. So that's a great question, Carol. Carol asked, do I ever use the Pro Bow? I have in the past. I love it. I think it's an amazing device. The bows you can create on that device are incredible. And it's so much easier for people that have arthritis and carpal tunnel. And speaking of the Pro Bow, Regina Sellers, the creator of the Pro Bow, was live in my exclusive Wreath community tonight. She was teaching how to create a tree topper bow using the Pro Bow. I have a lot of ladies in there that can't create bows by hand because their hands hurt. So she was there to teach them how to create it by using the Pro Bow. But then I also have people that want to learn how to create it by hand. So I'll go back in and teach by hand. So they kind of get the best of both worlds. Yep, I do sell them. Okay. Hopefully this is enough. If it's not, then after we're done, we can add a few more pieces. But I'm kind of sick of cutting this ribbon, so we're going to take a break from this and dovetail. So even though dovetailing is a little tedious and kind of gets repetitive and annoying, I think it's so crucial to do. So how many of you guys own your own businesses revolved around this stuff? I know a lot of you guys, I see a lot of familiar faces. That have their own businesses. And if you do, feel free to leave your business link in the comments. I mean, I love to share your designs. Okay. So we got those. Let's see. I was thinking of adding the 4-inch ribbon. I like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the 4-inch ribbon? It would probably be... Let's see what 12 would look like. 12 would leave pieces like that long. I don't know. Maybe. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the 4-inch ribbon? Thank you. So let's dovetail and see how it holds up. We'll just do one piece, see how it looks, and then you guys can let me know. Let's do that. That's the best way. Let's see how this is going to look. I don't think I've ever added 4-inch ribbon to a wreath like this. But we're going to see. So we added the 4-inch, obviously, to the bottom. That way it doesn't hide the other 2 ribbons. We might be able to get away with just using 2 ribbons. I'm thinking that might be the case. So then, as always, I pull out my ribbon tails so that they face away from the wreath. Think of it as a giant flower, and this is the center with all the seeds, and all the petals are shooting away from the center. I never have my ribbon going towards the center. I don't like the way that looks. But in this style, we're going to create a little bow. And then the bow loops can extend towards the center, whereas the tails are facing away. What do you guys think? Do you guys like that? Give me some hearts if you guys like that. I think it's kind of unique. Yeah, I'm thinking that's something different. If we don't end up liking this, you guys will probably never know. I'll delete this video and then pretend it never happened. And if you ever ask me what happened, I would just say, what are you talking about? And act like you're crazy. But I'm thinking it'll turn out nice. Yeah, so the reason I am adding the green, which is unusual for candy cane themed stuff, is because the sign actually has some green. So instead of trying to hide that, we are just showcasing it. You notice with all the 3 different sizes, you're able to see all 3 ribbons. So with the bow, the loops aren't going, the tails aren't going further than the stripe. Hopefully we have enough of this, you guys. Yeah. So the one we're adding now is 12 inches. 4-inch ribbon by 12 inches. So somebody said every other. Let's see how that looks before we continue on. That's a good idea too. So we'll do every other for now and see what that looks like. recreate a little bow. Yep, I think that's what we're going to do, you guys. Great advice. That's why I do lives. I think you guys are just so smart. I wouldn't have done that. I would have tried every single one and then ended up not liking it. And then we can come back in with just one of the bows with one of the stripe. And with the poof, and with working with only 1.5 inch ribbon, I think by placing it on top for the ones in between will look a lot better than placing it under, opening up the twist and placing it underneath. So that's what it's going to look like. Give me some hearts if you like that. I'm liking that. Okay, so just for a recap, we cut 3 different ribbons, 2 1.5 inch and 1 4 inch, and we're placing 1 12-inch piece of the 4 inch in every other twist. And then a bow, we're creating a bow, 28-inch piece, and then 12-inch strips of this one. And we're just creating a little bow out of this one. And then we're coming back in with another bow. How can I join your live classes? So I do run a group. We have 8 videos a month. This month there's actually going to be 10. We had a special guest, Katie, with Crazy Maisie Creations with K's in the group the other day. And then we had Regina Sellers creating a tree topper tonight. So there's 10 videos for this month. You can sign up at nicksseasonaldecor.com. And for those of you that were messaging me earlier today asking about the Christmas in July, that group is still open. Those videos are going nowhere. So if you didn't have the chance to join in July, you still can join. All of the videos are still there, and you have complete access to them forever. Oh, sorry about that, Linda. So what do you guys think so far? Do you guys like it? So this is something that I just started this year. I'm loving it, adding the little bows to it. I think it's so cool. But But notice the only thing that's kind of facing the center are those 2 loops from the bow. Other than that, all the tails are facing downhill. Okay, so our final one in the center, and then we'll begin adding pieces around the outside. But we're not going to be adding any of the bows to the outside. The bows are just for the center. And since we are working with the work wreath today, we're not going to be removing the tinsel ties. If it was pipe cleaners, they would be removed, but since they are tinsel ties, they're not. All right, you guys, what do you think of that? Give me some hearts if you like that. I do. I like that. So since we have 10 on the outside, we're going to cut 5 of the 4-inch ribbon. We're cutting it at 12 inches in length for those of you that are just tuning in. So I have 3 done. We need this one dovetailed, and then we have to just cut 1 more. And we're doing every other. And I think for these, when we're doing them every other, we're going to try to be conscious of where we place the ones on the inside. So since we placed 1 here and 1 here, we'll try to place the 3rd one here. So it kind of have some balance to it. And they're not right on top of each other. Okay, our last one. So we're going to pinch. We're going to take one of the 12-inch pieces. We'll place this one on last because we placed it last there. So we'll just keep in the order that we were doing. And these are all cut 12 inches in length. So we have one of the 4-inch here, one there. We're going to come back in here. And what I'm also doing for the outside is I am opening up the twists. For the ones with the 4-inch ribbon. Awesome. I'm glad you guys are liking it. So I don't think we're actually going to add any ornaments to it. I can be wrong. We might add some, but I'm thinking it'll look just beautiful with just the mesh and the ribbons. Oh, did we place 2 together? Nope. All right. So now we're going to add another 4-inch. Followed by a stripe, and then the green with the red edge. Okay, so this is our last one with the 4-inch ribbon. Which will go right here. We're skip counting these. So we still have to cut 2 more of the stripe. And we're cutting those 12 inches. All right, our last set of ribbons, you guys. Thank you. So again, if you guys don't mind sharing this or liking this video, I remember I used to say one of the faces specifically, one of the emojis was my favorite. Let's see if you guys can remember which one that was. It's my favorite one for getting them on videos. Okay, so before we fluff it anymore, we did fluff the inside one pretty nicely, but we are probably going to have to fluff it again. I do want to add our sign. And to add the sign, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my staple gun and some pipe cleaners. We're going to be using red pipe cleaners. And just in case my customer wants to change up the sign and they want to use it somewhere else or hang it somewhere, we'll just staple that in case they want to use it. And we'll see if we can get away with just using 2 staples, 2 pipe cleaners. So these are 1/4 inch staples, and the wood sign is more than 1/4 inch, so they didn't go through the sign. We'll come back to our wreath. We don't need the cutting mat anymore. We'll place this in the center. So like I was saying last night, it's extremely important to make sure your sign is attached to the metal frame itself and not just the mesh. If you attach it just to the mesh, regardless of how light the sign is, it will always sag, and that's something you don't want. So just pull everything back. We can adjust it in a second. So I'm twisting it several times in the back, making sure it's secured and it's not going anywhere. And at this stage, we are done with adding things to it. So now what we will do is begin fluffing it. So just to recap, make sure that the loops can face forward, but all of the tails are going downhill. So that's a great question. How many wreaths can you make in a day? I've never really mass-produced wreaths like this necessarily. I have had days where I had to make 15 to 20 of them, but I wouldn't consider that a huge amount. But I also create fresh evergreen Christmas wreaths, and I have created probably 75 to 100 of those a day, along with 50 to 60 centerpieces, 50 to 60 kissing balls. It was those days I do not miss. I miss the smell of the fresh pine, but those were overwhelming days, and I expect that again this year. And I will be shipping those all around the country. So we fluffed all the ones inside. Now we'll come back in, do the ones around the outside. And with these ones, you always want to make sure that they're facing up towards you. I know I've said in the past when designing with flowers, you kind of want them to be offset, and that's not the case with ribbon. You want your ribbon to be showcased. So make sure that you separate the loops and that they're all facing up towards the front of the door. Yep, so my Etsy shop is just Nick's Seasonal Decor. This one will be listed right after the video, so if you are interested in purchasing this, it'll be posted right after this video. I was going to post it beforehand for purchase. I just completely forgot, and I already clicked the live button. But it will be available shortly after the video. What do you guys think so far? Do you guys love it? Yep, the replay will be posted. Thank you, Becky. So Becky shared my link to my Etsy. This one, I am not 100% sure how much it will be, but it will be posted right after the video once I just add everything up quickly in my head. So if you are interested, head over to my Etsy page right after this video and it'll be up. Alright, everybody, so here's the finished product. We could add some ornaments. I'm going to actually hold off. I don't think they're necessary, especially with this ribbon. If we only use solids, they would definitely pop, but when we use the stripe, it kind of makes everything just all different colors. So instead of using these ornaments, which are a little bit pricey, we're going to hold off and just leave it as is with the mesh and the ribbons. Awesome. Yeah, so if you do end up making this, feel free to share a picture. I would love to see it. And again, if you don't mind sharing this video or liking this video, I appreciate it so much. It kind of gives me that oomph to come back and do lives. I know it's been a while, but it'll definitely give me a push to be on live more often, hopefully every night if it gets to that. All right, everybody, I hope you guys have a great night, and thanks for watching.